Definition of language assessment literacy. In general, language assessment literacy refers to knowledge, skill, and principle in language testing. Thus, three components actually remains contents in theoretical discussion and research on language assessment literacy. However, its scope and limitation have been questions. In particular, scholars wonder what specific knowledge, skill, and principle are needed to define the term. What is clear is that language knowledge, language use, and language pedagogy distinguish language assessment literacy from assessment literacy, a general term in general education. Literacy assessment, generation in education, the research of Lopez and Bernard shows that there are different assessment practices among language teachers. Those with language assessment training use assessment to improve teaching and learning, whereas those without training use it as a means of obtaining grades solely. Thus, Lopez and Bernard report that teachers without training place grades and assessment on the same level, which the research consider a limited approach to language assessment. In addition, the teacher in this study applied the summative method more than the formative method. Language assessment literacy, general and specific. In a review of language textbooks, according to the FIS, place the field in three components: knowledge, skills, and principle relate to language proficiency assessment. While emphasis has been placed on the first two components, there is an increasing need to embed language testing with principles such as fairness or non-discriminatory testing practice and ethics or appropriate use of assessment data. The skills and principles in language assessment literacy are directly related to language assessment. In particular, the skills required for test design, such as question writing, statistical use and interpretation, and test evaluation are part of the language assessment literacy because they are used to assess language proficiency, according to Davis and Fulcher. Regarding the principle, they are seen are the same in language assessment literacy as in assessment literacy. That is, principle refers to codes or of practice for ethics, fairness, and judgmental consequence. According to the authors, language assessment literacy materials for language teachers are, for the first is an understanding of the social roles of assessment and the responsibilities of language examiners, and the second is an understanding of the political and social forces involved, examining their strength and consequence. The third, knowledge of how to write, administer, and analyze tests, report test results, and ensure test quality. And the fourth is understand large or scale test data. Next, proficiency in language class assessment, and next, mastering language acquisition and learning theory and linking them in the assessment process. Next, matching assessment with language teaching approach, knowledge of current language teaching approach and pedagogies. Next, awareness of the dilemmas underlying the assessment, formative versus summative, internal, external, validity, and reliability issues, mainly with reference to the use of authentic language. And the last is language assessment literacy is individual, the product of knowledge, experience, perceptions, and belief brought by the language teacher into the teaching and assessment process. Based on Scarino, there are four stages of language assessment in the classroom: planning, implementation, monitoring, and recording and dissemination. In the first stage, the language teacher selects objective and tools for assessing and prepares students for assessment. In stage 2, the teacher introduces the why, what, and how of the assessment and also provides a scaffold while the assessment takes place. Asks students to monitor themselves and others and provides direct feedback to students. During the third stage, teachers full their observation and analyze them with peers, hoping to provide delayed feedback to improve learning and teaching. In the final stage, teachers formally report their analysis to whomever they need. Three main components of language assessment literacy. For the first is knowledge reflects theoretical considerations such as the meaning of validity and reliability. Two, classic discussion of language testing. This component ranks the highest because it relates to language use. Second is skills, which first and foremost include instructional skills. Design refers to the test and contraction of items for the first language skills and their integration in assessment. The last component of the list refers to the principle of language assessment, which are consequential and strong. The effect of the true meaning of language assessment literacy is that the language teachers demonstrates the knowledge, skills, and principles that are relevant to language teaching and language learning. High quality assessments are conducted by language teachers who plan, design, implement, monitor, record, evaluate, provide, and improve opportunities for overseeing goals in the language classroom and beyond, namely the development of students' language skills. I think that's all from me. Thank you.